What's going on, fam? All right, listen. I see a lot of posts on Facebook when posts in regards for racism, things of that nature. You know what I find interesting is that I find a lot of people, whether they say, well, black folks, why don't y'all pay more attention to fixing your own neighborhoods? What's going on in Chicago? What's going on in this city? What's going on in that city? When you answer something like that, um, for those of us that are, for those of y'all that are non-black, before you answer, please take into account, how do you know that there are not any black people that are not doing anything in regard for the violence that's going on in our inner cities and in a lot of cases our inner suburbs? Because we got a lot of hoods and some suburbs also. How do you know that there's nobody out there doing stuff like that? I always find it when people put a, answer a post with an answer like that. You know, Bottom line is there are plenty of us in our neighborhoods that are doing a lot, to make sure that our kids don't have to go through violence or, to get drugs off the street. But it's the same thing though, however, in terms of media coverage, just like I know there's plenty of white folks that are actually fighting for the cause or what have you, in terms of equal equality for everybody and involved with Black Lives Matter and things of that nature. You know what? You don't see it because it's not covered on TV. You know what I'm saying? It's very few. Or maybe you might see those one or few examples of a few that are like Brother Steve Perry, who with his school uh, graduates a lot of his all-male prep school. I believe is a prep school, or I know it's a high school, something like that. He graduates usually about 100% of his class, and everybody gets into college. There are a few other people just like that. Fighting to keep our brothers and sisters, our young brothers and sisters in school, off the streets, things of that nature. But it's just like anything else. You're not going to see that on TV. It's always, you see us getting arrested, us getting harassed by police, or what have you. You know what I'm saying? But they don't show the people that are in the neighborhood that are doing something for the community. Like my man Kevin Livingston with his 100 suits for 100 men. You know what I'm saying? Making sure that when brothers get out of jail, they get suits, they get attire, and training and stuff that they need for job interviews. He set up an organization in regards for that, in response for all the violence that was going on in Queens, New York. And right now he's got offices set up in a few of the boroughs back home. You know what I'm saying? So there are people doing it. It's just that the same thing, it doesn't get covered. Just like, good police officers all of a sudden, don't get covered in the media, for whatever reason. Probably doesn't because it doesn't make news. Because it's the whole thing. Like, you ever see that or hear the saying sometimes, people rather the lie is more interesting than the truth. And sometimes that's the case. You know what I'm saying? There are plenty of us out there busting our behinds to make sure that, our kids don't have to grow up in drug infested neighborhoods. That, trying to make sure that our kids go to school. I know poets personally. Shout out to my girl Blue Bailey. Shout out to my man Sean Welcome. It's my man C Hope and them. These are poets that take the time out for the community to make sure that they lend their gifts in order to make things better for the community. I remember they used to, those three specifically that I just named, used to go down to the 33rd Street Jail in Orlando to do poetry workshops. You know what I'm saying? Blue still works with her organization, The Right, helping with the youth to write poetry and stuff. So, like I said, there are plenty of us people. And she just recently actually got coverage, ironically, in the newspaper, Orlando Sentinel, for her Yellow Swap youth competition that she put together. So there are those of us that care enough about the community to do stuff. I myself am a spoken word poet as well. I'm involved in the community with a lot of stuff that I do. Of course, with my open mic. Uh, Workshops I've helped assisted with, You know, I myself have gone to perform at jails for brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? Or a jail or so. I've performed in front of schools, things of that nature. I've helped with the children at my church or what have you, just assisting with them. Matter of fact, just recently helping them learning how to write poetry. You know, so there are those of us that are doing it. The thing is, before you answer a post like that, you all should concentrate on helping to make your community better instead of complaining about what's going on. Listen, why don't you do your research and find out who's doing what in our community before you answer in a post like that or in that manner? You know what I'm saying? And quite frankly, also, when it comes to something like that, black people don't have to commit a crime in order to be harassed by police. That's another thing. We don't have to have committed a crime to be harassed by police. Also, on top of that, just because, especially when it comes to, let me say this, especially in regards to videos, when they talk about all he had to do was just stay still and just comply. Listen, you can say that all you want, but look what happened to Kalief Browder. Didn't commit a crime, got arrested for something he didn't do, spent about 1.5 to 2 years at Rikers Island. And because of that, after a while, the brother ended up committing suicide even after he got out or what have you. He spent time in jail, did about 1.5 to 2 years in jail for a crime he didn't commit and never even got a trial to prove his innocence. You know what I'm saying? So, and a lot of us in regards to that, look, I understand, yes, comply, but you have to understand sometimes, even when you do comply, that still happens to us. We can still get harassed or what have you. You know, maybe if y'all took a walk in our shoes, maybe y'all might understand how it feels or what have you. I'm not sure, but, you know, I just want to get that off my chest. But listen, man, you know, do your research first before you comment. Maybe black people should be doing more for their community, because there are a lot of us out here doing stuff for the community. But just like, you know, good police officers, you know, that hardly gets any coverage in the news, because there are a lot of good police officers out there. But just like that, there are hardly any of us that get coverage for doing what we're supposed to do for our community. I just wanted to make sure that gets out there in the open. Peace, y'all.